With Christmas approaching and the year gradually coming to an end, a lot of Nigerians are thinking of how to celebrate with quality and affordable gifts that they can give to themselves and their loved ones. So why not upgrade your scent with a beautiful array of perfumes and body sprays offered by Riggs London and Confetti London. In this exclusive interview with Arise News, the CEO founder of the Confetti Group, Ori Lasu, tells us about the London brand's foray into the West African market and how quickly it's been embraced by Nigerian consumers.
Ori, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Joining us now on the program is Ori Lasu, founder, CEO of Confetti Group. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Riggs London and Confetti London, they are rapidly becoming household names in West Africa. What inspired you to start this brand in this part of the world?
So I'm somebody who's always been super passionate about the human experience. And for me, fragrance has always been such an experimental category. And as consumers become, they start wanting to spend their money in different ways. Fragrance is an amazing category in terms of the way it engages the consumer's mind and also gives them that physical experience. So with my background in consumer goods, I knew as soon as I launched something of my own, it was always going to be in fragrance. And that was sort of the real driving force behind sort of these brands coming to life.
So, but why Nigeria? At what point did you realize that there was a big market, for your brand in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's a great question. So obviously our brands are all created at Confetti Group. Our headquarters are in the UK, in London. I'm a Londoner myself, so all of our brands, of course, carry that sort of British vibe. So the brands were launched. We started expanding. We were sort of probably somewhere between 15 and 20 countries into our expansion. And the inbound demand we were receiving from West Africa, specifically Nigeria, was overwhelming. I was getting emails daily saying, we've tried your products here. Where can we access them? Where can we get them? And it was then probably 5-6 years ago that I took my first trip here, my first market visit. Was blown away by the energy of the place, the people that just make this city bounce. And I knew stepping off the plane that there was something special going on here. And I wanted to be a part of it. So even if we hadn't received the emails, I knew then and there, I said, this is a consumer group who I want to be engaging with and working with.
But how was that transition, crossing over from London into Nigeria? I'm sure it was a very complex journey. Can you tell us a bit about it? What were the challenges or some of the surprises that you encountered?
No, absolutely. Look, my approach to most things is quite simple. I have a small brain, so I can only do a few things at once. So the way I look at it is that I was always passionate to take brands global. And with that in mind, when we were developing the collections and the fragrances, even pre-launch of Confetti and Riggs, I knew I wanted to cater for lots of audiences in lots of different countries. So the collections, as you'll note, are always slightly larger. I knew from data we'd received and experiences we'd had, the sorts of fragrances that trend well in West Africa. Our internal team, when we create these fragrances and formulate them, work super hard to create things that are transcend demographics, nationalities, and borders. So the collections within all of our brands are big enough that we were able to cater for the demands of the West African market. Of course, they have their own very unique tastes and trends here, are not the same as the Western world, but they tend to follow the Western world a few steps behind.
Well, talking about the Nigerian consumer, what would you say sets them apart? You just said we tend to follow just a little bit, the Western world, but what sets us apart?
So I think from my perspective, the single most unique thing about Nigerians as consumers is their natural propensity and willingness to engage with fragrance as a category. They're much more experimental than I ever could have imagined. And certainly more experimental than Western consumers, where we tend to be a little more loyal to a single brand and a single product over a longer period or duration. Here, they're so keen to learn and try and experiment. And I would say it's that experimentation and that willingness to engage and try and learn new things is what really has kind of driven a lot of our success for Riggs and Confetti.
Now, I know Riggs and Confetti, they have, very distinct personality. It's sophisticated and bold, versus youthful and expressive. How are you able to build these identities?
It's a very good question. So for me, having that sort of British hallmark as the as the quality driver at the heart of all our brands was probably the single most important thing to begin with. As you create these brands, they tend to evolve and develop their personalities. So some are slightly more male leaning, one was female leaning, but both are unisex at their essence, underpinned by that sort of British quality. But I wanted to make the brands fun, approachable. I wanted people to take these brands and feel almost like they were, their product of choice was an extension of themselves, their identity. And so in that, as we sort of built out the personality and identity, there were things that we played into in terms of the communication and how we speak to the customer, in terms of, the packaging and keeping maybe the logo quite serious and quintessentially British, but giving it a little personality so people could see it was a little playful, approachable. I did not want people to think, this is not, maybe we're a little nervous to get in. I'm saying come in, enjoy, experiment and experience. Yeah. And so that fed a lot into sort of the identities that we developed for both Rigs and Confetti.
You talked about for the male, for the female, that it's unisex, but I remember you telling me before we started this interview that you also have a range for kids. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So only a few months ago, by popular demand, perhaps of the parents who might already be Rigs users, we developed and launched a range of kids' fragrances, which an uptake so far, I'm pleased to say, has been pretty outstanding. But as I say, we develop based on the user need. So you tell us and we make. There was a lot of chit-chat in the market of, would Rigs ever do anything for kids? We know competing brands have had success in that space. And so this was our first foray into that sort of age group. And we worked very hard on creating individual characters for the kids range, softer fragrances that were more applicable for users of that age. I'm pleased to say so far it's been a success.
Now, I think you had a partnership, to make your entrance into the Nigerian market a bit more easier with the Bivon Ventures. Can you tell us how that relationship started and what makes it work so well?
Yeah, sure. So 6 or 7 years ago, as we were launching, quite early on in our journey, we were approached by Madam Bibiana Okeke of Bivon Ventures, who are an established distributor in Nigeria, who wished to take exclusive distribution rights for our brands in this part of the world. So, the initial meetings, we learned a little bit about each other and about, Madam's experience in this market. And I would say that partnership, her experience on the ground, her know-how, her ability to execute, her ability to operate, has made things so much easier. And we've learned so much about what needs to happen to make a business successful in Nigeria. And I have to say that working in partnership with Bivon has been magical from the start and continues to be now.
Now, you are the founder, of the Confetti Group. And I know that being a founder means pouring yourself into your work. So what part of your personal philosophy do you see reflected in the brand?
I would say, above all, the two most standout characteristics that I believe I possess and that I really wanted to come through in the brands are confidence and conviction. The confidence to make bold decisions about who you want to be, what you stand for, what you believe in, and the conviction to stand by those decisions no matter what society thinks of you. And so when you look at our brands, I hope that users can see and feel that these are products that they can identify with, that almost become an extension of self in some ways, and their identity, their choices, and that they feel supported and empowered when using our products. So yeah, I would say confidence and conviction are probably, when I look at this from a sort of philosophical standpoint, are the two things for me that really I want to kind of come through in the brand.
But have you created, opportunities for feedback, from consumers?
Absolutely. So we do lots of data collection at street level on the ground across Nigeria, in fact. So a lot of, through our social media, we're constantly engaging with consumers, getting feedback on product, seeing what they think of the product, any feedback, good or bad. Where did they use the product? Did they use it on a date, before a sports match, gym? How did they feel when they used it? what are the emotions that our products made them feel. So we're constantly in touch with the consumer. And as I mentioned, that's such an important component. That feedback is what drives our next wave of development and products that we will create. I would say that combined with sort of bigger data collection pieces, online questionnaires, lots of data collection across the sort of spectrum helps us become more informed and allows us to service the customer to a high level.
Oh, great. Now, you've shown interest in education and CSR. Why is community impact so important to you? And how will it shape your future plans here?
So I'm a firm believer that if you are blessed enough to get ahead in life, the first thing you do is turn around and help the next person up. So in terms of how that feeds into our sort of, CSR and I suppose you can call it educational philanthropic outlook, everything for me is about reinvesting in our surroundings and our communities to try and help that sort of propel that next wave of growth. It makes perfect sense for us as a brand, given the user group, to be sort of reinvesting here. I'm pleased to say we're now entering our third year of an initiative we created 3 years back, which was our Award for Academic Excellence, which started in Lagos. And just recently we had an award in Anambra State at their secondary state school there, where we awarded 200 high-performing students with laptops and equipment to see them through the later stage of their studies and hopefully secure paid employment thereafter, which, as we know, can in turn help themselves, their families, their communities thrive and prosper. But I'm also thrilled to announce for the first time that in 2026, we will be launching our I Can, You Can campaign, which in essence is for every canned product that is sold under the Riggs and Confetti brands, we will be reinvesting a significant percentage of proceeds back into these initiatives, further driving the growth and our ability and reach to kind of go out across Nigeria and West Africa and introduce these sorts of initiatives. So for me, a lot starts with education. I think that's a fantastic platform from which to build. We have lots of other plans. We want, to see communities thrive and prosper across the board. And I suppose the more successful our brands are, the more sort of equipped and the more firepower we have to go after these initiatives, and the whole thing can grow together. So this is something that's very close to my heart. And I hope to see, continue to grow into the future.
Oh, well done. Now we've seen strong growth, for Riggs London and Confetti London. So just give us an outlook, let's say in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. What are your expectations?
Well, I love that you look so long into the future, and I hope we're blessed enough to have secured our place, that looking that far down the line. I can't see that far. I look kind of 1 year to year. But certainly for the next 12, 24 months, our plan is really to just try and further entrench these brands in the market, continue to try and win the trust of the consumer so they understand that we value them as much as they value us. We want these brands to become household names so that Nigerians can, and those across West Africa, can really feel like these products are their own, these brands are theirs. And we'd love to believe that we're here to stay. And we'll do that in a few ways. One is increased distribution to make sure that these products are widely available, conveniently available locally to you, wherever you are in West Africa. Improving our communication so that people come to understand better the proposition. So we're not just selling fragrance, we're selling an idea, we're selling a movement. And this really is about you, the consumer, at the end of the day. Yes, we're selling a product, but this is about you, the consumer. So hopefully a combination of those two things, if we do them well, we continue to innovate and create new products. We have a lot of launches for the next 12 months that unfortunately I cannot talk about today, but that I'm very excited to announce in the near future. And hopefully a combination of all of that, in that constant effort, we will hopefully continue to try and cement our place in the market here.
Ori Leslo, founder, CEO of Confetti Group. It's been a great pleasure talking with you. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.